Please like, subscribe, and be sure to click that bell button for regular and exciting indie film content and your chance to be the first to engage with the Liftoff Global Network of Film Festivals as we embark on launching the careers of the filmmakers of tomorrow.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's stream. Today we are joined by 7 wonderful filmmakers who picked up the Audience Choice Award from the London Liftoff Film Festival. Welcome to you all. It's so great that you can join us, and I know some of you are quite far away from the UK in different time zones, so I really appreciate the fact that you are here. I'm Natalie, I'm the General Manager here at Liftoff.
And I'm Freddie, and I usually co-host with Anna on other videos at Liftoff.
Yes. Freddie's part of our content creation and is a content producer here, so welcome to joining us on this stream today as well. The chat room is open, so if you do have any questions for our filmmakers, please do put them in the chat and we will do our best to answer your questions that you may have for our filmmakers during today's stream. Patti, let's find out a little bit from you first and then everyone else on today's call. So Patti, over to you. If you could introduce yourself by letting us know who you are and what your project is.
Okay, good morning and good afternoon. I'm Patti Cary. I am the writer, director, and producer of Alameda, Here Is Anywhere.
Fantastic.
Greetings.
Thank you. We have got your film primed and ready to go, so it'll be very exciting to hear and see more about your project. Over to Federico and team. Could you introduce yourselves?
Hello everyone, my name is Federico. I'm Louis.
And I'm Noella.
And we are three producers of A Peculiarly Bizarre Day for Josie, Joan. I'm a director.
I was the DOP.
And you are actor and sound.
Actor, sound, everything.
Everything.
Well,
thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you all for joining. It's good to have someone from each department. It's going to be a really fun discussion to have. James, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm James Patrick Nelson, and I'm the writer, producer, and lead actor of the TV pilot For Years to Come.
Fantastic. And it was so fun having you on the focus groups and the online networking during the festival, so excited to have you here as well. Hannah, over to you. Oh, you're muted. There we go.
Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah Gordon. I am the director and co-writer and co-producer of Eyes on the Nightstand.
Fantastic. And finally, Milo and Poppy.
Hello, my name is Milo Tucker. I was the director, writer, and DOP. Here to introduce Alethia. Very happy to be here with you guys.
Thank you. Wonderful. So how this is going to work is we're going to be showing everyone's films during today's stream, and we're going to be doing like a director's commentary for everyone as the films are playing. We're going to start with James and your project. So as I get that loaded up, can you tell us a little bit more about the inspiration behind your project?
When my mother was dying, I found out my father was a porn director. So that necessitated some kind of story to arise out of it. And it was many years before I could get enough distance from it to realize what some of the larger themes it might contain would be. But it was during the pandemic when so many people were having some unexpected, profound experience of grief that they might not have words for yet, that I started to realize it might mean something to more than just me.
So it's essentially based on a true story.
It is, although the latter half of that first pitch is teased as a cliffhanger at the very end of what we've made, with the aspiration of making more to come.
Oh, that's great. That changes everything.
So the film has started to play, and we can see that you are obviously one of the lead actors in this piece. How was your experience? I guess how was your experience acting in this and being the writer as well? But also tell us a little bit about the cast and how you all came together.
The cast was extraordinary. I remain so excited about all of them and so thankful for them. J.D. Yonker, who plays a smaller part in the first scene on the porch that we're going to get to in a minute, is a co-producer who I had known in New York for a couple of years prior to the pandemic, and who, when he came onto the project, lifted so much of my confidence and faith that we could get it made. and the woman sat beside him, Samia, has been a dear friend and for some years. So they were attached to the project early on, and the remaining actors came on board closer to pre-production. We had Kimberly Graham, an amazing casting director who did Homeland and Paranormal Activity and many wonderful films that I'd worked with before that came on to cast. And she solicited self-tapes to send to me and the other producers for the love interest and for Miranda and Vicky. And then Richard Reilly from several hundred extraordinary films and TV shows, who plays my father in this. We made an offer to him, and I was so elated that he said yes.
Fantastic.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell that the actors and yourselves all came together really well. The chemistry on screen is just fantastic. And it was one of the comments when I was re-looking at what the jury was saying across the festival. That was one of the things that kept coming out of how strong the cast was in this.
Oh, wonderful.
So yeah, well done.
Wonderful.
Another point that I'd quite like to comment on is the cinematography in this is really sharp and almost a character in itself, the way that it follows the story. Who was your DP and what was it shot on?
His name's Dennis Zanata, and he's based in Los Angeles, and it was an Alexa classic, I believe.
Nice.
And yeah, I hit Dennis and his two ACs and the G&E team that we were able to put together. I still look back at the BTS photos that we have, for example, and cannot remember, like, is that the actual sun coming through the window, or is that them doing their magic? Like, it was such an extraordinary team, and I agree with you. I think it adds a great deal to it. I'm so thankful to them.
Yeah, absolutely. We try not to talk about we have a slogan here, put talent before technology, but with cameras and accessibility becoming a lot more accessible, it's really great when a project marries both. And yeah, I feel like you've done this extremely well.
Thank you. I really was keen on it. I feel like there's I think there's still a fair bit of stigma that we're kind of culturally trying to shed, whether we acknowledge it or not, about believing that stories with LGBTQ plus protagonists are for everyone, that every audience could lean into stories about queer people. And I think that having quality cinematography affirms that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I really liked about the film, the pilot, was that the fact that the protagonist was an LGBT person was not the main focus. It wasn't like it's about being gay. It was like that's just it's just part of it, you know. It's
I love that resonates. I was very I was speaking about that throughout. It's odd that, like, you have to speak extensively about not speaking about anything. It's like it's an important thing to discuss in the fundraising and the development and the marketing, but then in the piece itself, it's like, this is the most natural thing in the world to me and my scene partner and my producers to just, this is a love story. And I think we have a good landscape of queer trauma and more recently a lot of queer joy to as an antidote to that. And I'm really interested in, like, queer paying the rent and queer stocking the fridge and queer, like, anything else, you know. Like, can we have stories where a character is not back-footed or apologetic about who they are, but where their queerness is also not the conflict of the story. It's not their only reason for being there.
Some things that we like to talk about are hurdles that you had to overcome as a filmmaker, producing team, writer. It doesn't matter which angle you come at with this, but something that you had to overcome during the production of this. Is there a particular moment that stands in mind?
Well, we shot in peak Omicron time, so there was certainly that. That was the constant kind of calculus about, like, how many COVID tests were actually available at that time. There were a couple of them that were being sent to us by the government, and the costs of getting them from. And we managed. I think because at least half of the film is shot outdoors. we managed to keep everybody healthy and keep everybody at a distance. But it's intense to look back at the BTS and recall how much everybody still had to wear masks at that time. I'm glad we're starting to move forward. I'd say another example, this is worth mentioning because we probably won't get to it in what's playing in the background. The latter half of the project is me and another gentleman gradually sort of getting to know each other in the park. This increasingly flirtatious sequence of scenes. And initially in the script, right up until pre-production, the first two of those scenes were in the park, and the latter two were meant to be in a bar, a more traditional date kind of setting. And finding a location for a bar location where they trusted us to give us the space and where the whole team could pick up and pack up from the park and move to that next location, and where it felt like the parking would be safe and the gear would be safe was nigh on impossible and going to cost way too much money and be way too much of a traffic jam and make the company move way too cramped in one day. So like last minute, like a week or two before we filmed, I was like, what if I just rewrote those latter two scenes to like also be in the park? And the park that we found was so kind of spacious that each scene could kind of feel like it was in a different spot anyway. I think it ultimately just made it way more romantic because we get to watch the sunset on the lake. It turned out to be way better and more cost effective.
A happy accident is what we call those. Do you mind just pressing the button underneath the computer? Yeah. There we go. So what is next?
I mean, we're very proactively trying to find the right production company to pick up this project and make a full, what I've envisioned currently is another 8 episodes of it. There were a fair number of exciting folks that I got to meet over the festival circuit this past year, all of which were very informal conversations because of the strikes going on in America. It was purely about saying hello to folks. Now that the strikes are over, there's everybody's really starting to get back into gear. So I hope that we can find the right collaborators to keep moving this project forward. And in the meantime, I'm starting development on my next feature at the same time.
Fantastic.
Fun.
That's great. And so you said that you met a lot of people along the way on the festival route. How long do you have left of the film circulating?
We have another film festival in New York City on Friday, February 16th. So in about 10 days.
Amazing. So for those people,
at least a few others that we're still waiting to hear from.
So from the people that are watching this, if you're based in New York and you really want to go and see this with sound, what festival is it?
It's the New York City Independent Theater Film Festival on 53rd and 10th Avenue. It's wonderful because it's a festival that is meant for filmmakers who have theater backgrounds, and the new venue that it's taking place in is the same venue that my last off-Broadway play was in. So it feels very serendipitous.
Full circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, James. I want to pass over to everyone else on this call. Do you have any questions for James or any remarks that you want to say or give whilst we're still in the spotlight of James in this project? No? Well, I would like to just round up and just say thank you for, one, sharing this project with us, and secondly, letting us in on this journey. It's going to be so fun following you to see it from this to being hopefully made into the episodic content that you wish for, and then hopefully seeing it on a really cool network. That would be the dream. So please stay in touch.
Again when we watch season 1.
Yeah, I really look forward to it.
Exactly. But before we do end, a question that I will be asking everyone, and I think everyone's got a little bit more time than you do. So what is your favorite film?
Yeah, and indeed an impossible question to answer. I was a flurry with different, and because I'm in New York, I'm like just getting up. So it's like all the different titles are screaming into my head. I think in an effort to not pick something that is from sort of my childhood, which is where most of the films seem to be wanting to come from, the first thing that came to mind was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, the first film that Mike Nichols directed with the Burtons back in the 60s. Wow. Exquisite performances, writing, cinematography, everything.
Yeah, it's interesting that you didn't want to go back to the childhood, because that's often where the stem of wanting to get into this industry comes from.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
I mean, there were so many great films that came out in the late '90s when I was first starting to see kid films as a teenager, but too many to choose among that cohort. But Virginia Woolf stands out on its own.
Yeah, exactly. Freddie, I'm going to put you under the spotlight now.
Yeah.
What's your favourite film?
Oh gosh. Talking about going back to childhood, the film that sort of probably got me interested in the industry in the first place was definitely the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Well, that's great.
That's, I think it's also because there was so much circulating about the making of the film.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you just didn't have with other films. We'd have like Dig Deep, and it was just you just have it available.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice.
I don't know. There are so many great films.
I know, so many.
Yeah.
I think the film that got me into the industry was Bend It Like Beckham. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, but one of my favourite films has to be Whiplash. So yeah. Hannah, we're going to move over to you. So we're going to start with that question. What is your favourite film?
I would say off the top of my head, my two favorite films are Silence of the Lambs and
great.
Spirited Away. Just because I think two very different films like that kind of demonstrate where what type of filmmaking really resonates with me. You know, the surrealism and like the beautiful elements of Spirited Away, and then like the grittiness of Silence of the Lambs, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible films. So nice. Let's move on to your project, Eyes on the Nightstand. Tell us a little bit more about the inspiration, and I will get your film playing.
Absolutely. Just before I get into it, so the film is about sexual assault. So I just want to preface what I'm talking about. I will be getting into that topic just a little bit. So if there's anyone who's listening, I just want to make sure that they're aware that I will be discussing sexual violence a little bit, just so that everyone is aware in case they need to step away for anything. So the film initially is inspired by some of my own experiences and experiences of people that I know while I was at university in the States. I'm originally from California, if the accent wasn't a giveaway. But so the film was inspired by something that happened to me while I was at university. And I wanted to find a way to demonstrate what the emotional fallout of an assault can feel like without showing it so graphically on screen, because I think that there's so much violence towards women that's portrayed on screen, in my opinion, to a gratuitous level. And I really wanted to highlight sort of what the complicated emotions look like in a surrealist way when someone is dealing with this sort of trauma without being super on the nose. You know, so I wanted it to be a bit more referential and leave room for the audience to be like, okay, what's happening? Who are these characters? What do they represent? And it was really important to me to try and highlight the different forms of grief and of coping with some sort of trauma. For example, something that's not thought about as much in my experience is that hypersexuality. So having more partners as a way of coping with an assault is actually something that's quite common. And essentially, I will spoil the ending a little bit. All of these characters, besides Hunter, who's the lead, for the most part, represent one facet of her personality. And so the intention was to sort of show what it looks like when the brain is at war with itself. You know, that inner dialogue. You have that element of your confidence that makes you a happy person, your creativity, your energy. And then you have your anger and your rage and alcoholism and depression and your sense of self and sexuality, all of those sort of personified elements fighting against each other, because, you know, people are very multifaceted and have all these different elements. So I also thought it would be interesting to portray these characters as different gender identities to, again, show that one person can have so many different feelings about themselves and see themselves in different kind of ways. Like for this character particularly, her rage manifests more as a masculine character. Her sexuality manifests more as a feminine character. And you see those those two elements at war with one another. So that was sort of my intention, was to showcase what emotional turmoil looks like in response to sexual violence in a way that sort of hasn't been done exactly before.
Yeah, and it also looks absolutely stunning. The visuals that you have on here are just fabulous as well, but hearing the direction that you wanted to take it totally makes sense in everything that you've just said. I'm just going to take some water.
Yeah, I think especially as we can see right now, is the visual effects. I think I've watched it with sound, but even without the sound, it's really mesmerizing just to have it running here, and you're like, wow, yeah, that gives it the gravity that I think. I think that's a really important thing, and it's almost similar to what James said about having LGBT people in the focus without that being the conflict, and talking about things in what I think is probably a grown-up way, and it's not just like this happened, so let's show it as graphically as we can to make people, because then it just sort of.
I on top of that, the performances that you manage to get out of your actors really do carry that symbol all the way along, and seeing your lead on screen at the moment, she's just a wonderful actress. How did you find her? Because I saw that this is a Met Film School, so when you were studying there. So did you use different avenues to get your actors, or were they already connected to the school? How did it work?
So first of all, thank you for those comments. I really appreciate it. So this was part of my last project in my master's program at Met Film School. And so we were able to sort of source the crew from school, like whoever you wanted to collaborate with, you're welcome to do so. But we went and found actors. I did all the casting myself through Spotlight, through Mandy, through I'm blanking on the last site, but basically all of that, put out a casting call. I watched hundreds of self-tapes. We did so many different, I watched so many self-tapes and reels, and we did table reads and like tests and had people come in. It was a very laborious process, but because there's so much emotion and it's a difficult subject matter for people to carry, and I just wanted to make sure that these actors, first of all, like were in a mental space to be able to do a project like this, that they felt passionate about it as well, and there was good chemistry between each other and between my directing style and their performing style. And so I felt super lucky to have found the cast that I did. They're all amazing to work with. They worked so hard. They put all their energy into it, and I think they did. Like my lead, her name is April. She did such a beautiful job, and we had a great dynamic. Every day we made sure to establish a safe space on set and to make sure that every creative had their space to work without, I didn't want anyone leaving at the end of the day feeling that they wouldn't be able to sleep because they were drained or feeling hurt or anything like that. That was the opposite of what I wanted. So I did all the casting myself, but was super lucky to find fantastic actors, all of whom local from all over, but all of whom were local to London.
Both Freddie and I's background is in acting, so I find this question fascinating to ask, because so many directors have different approaches to working with the actors. Sometimes you just turn up on set and say your line and there's a small note, or you actually have rehearsal periods, and I feel like you would have done that because of the topic in here. So what was your approach to working with the actors?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So basically, I met with each one of them individually before we started screening, before they even met. Before we started filming, before they'd met each other. We broke down the script together. I first asked them their interpretation because it is sort of surrealist. And I had a lot of people be like, I have no idea what this is about. This is a weird script. I don't get it, which is totally fine. And so I would have them tell me their interpretation and then what they drew from their character. And then I would go over what my intention was, my interpretation, and sort of give background to everything, give the subtext of what's happening in each scene, like which character who is their antagonist more and break down those dynamics, do a couple of read-throughs. So that all happened in pre-production. And then we did a table read. I asked similar questions, make sure that each actor sort of had an opportunity to discuss their character with each other. So everyone felt really confident going in. And then on the day when we would do a take, I would give notes afterwards. And it was really, really, really important to me not to ever say something along the lines of like, yeah, can you be more sad? That is just the opposite of who I am. So I would really try to give motivation and intention, because sometimes these characters don't have as much dialogue. So I wanted, if possible, for them to just be carrying that with them. So I would try to make sure that each of them knew truly the intention behind each line, like what they were saying versus what they meant. I mean, it's acting 101, I'm sure everyone knows that, but that was such a focus for me, something that was super important. And I think that they all did a brilliant job.
Nice, thank you. As we asked James as well, hurdles are something that are inevitable within a production. What did you have to overcome during the shoot?
So budget is the first thing, obviously. Every filmmaker knows that.
Everyone's just smiling on the
Yeah, everyone's smiling like, yeah, when the money starts to get a little tight, that's when problems can arise. I think we had a really tight schedule because we had limited time at each one of these locations, because, you know, my producer would request, okay, maybe rather than shooting at an actual club, we can do it at a house and save budget. I was like, no, I really, really want to be able to shoot at all these locations, because I thought it's just worth giving it a try, especially because it was my master's project at university. I really was like, I just want to push every boundary as much as possible. So I think one of the biggest challenges was securing all the actors and their schedules, getting all the locations, like James, like what you were saying, getting the crew from location A, then doing a move to location B, making our days, keeping it relatively within budget, and trying to make sure to take care of these locations. I think that was one of the biggest challenges, because it was a decently sized crew and a pretty big cast. So just managing all of those elements, I think my first AD was losing hair from stress trying to manage our days and schedule everything, but we made it work in the end.
You did it. And what is next? Now that you've finished your masters and you're out in the real world of filmmaking, in the wild.
Yes, the scary real world. So I've been working as an assistant director over the past year or so, and we've sort of put Nightstand on the side for now, and we're moving on similar. I'm like working with my old crew again, sort of cooking up some ideas, writing a feature, and want to shoot a proof of concept for that.
Great.
Hopefully within the next year. And then I have another project that I was a part of, a feature where I was a actor and writer, which is having its global debut at South by Southwest Festival in Austin, Texas. Nice. So that's really exciting. I will be going to that, so if any of you are there, please let me know. And so yeah, just working on some personal creative projects, feature, proof of concept, and attending this next festival in Austin.
Fantastic.
Wow, yeah, sounds great.
That sounds like you've hit the ground running, coming straight out of like film school, and off you go. So
yeah.
Really,
it's
really
been an amazing journey.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing. Does anyone on the call have any questions for Hannah or thoughts that you'd like to share?
What's the name of the film at South by?
It's called Role Play. It's basically a documentary about these students on university campus, Tulane University in New Orleans, coping with some serious subject matter like racism, alcoholism, mental health crisis, sexual violence, stuff like that exists on a college campus, and how we sort of chose to address it. That's sort of the loose overview.
And it's the kind of documentary that also has reenactments or has actors doing.
Yeah, it's about a play that we created in response to all of these things transpiring on our university campus. So it basically follows the creation of the play. So yeah, those sort of dramatized scenes, and then following the actual actors like through their lives, dealing with these things in real life. So that's like sort of the two parts.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And
Thank
good
you.
luck with that. Go and do everything that you possibly can at South by Southwest. So enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we are going to move over. We're going to move over to Federico, Louis, and Noella. But before we start on your project, it's that dreaded question of your favourite films. So tell us, what are your favourite films?
Okay. So, should I
You
start?
go first,
Okay,
yeah.
so my favorite film, I'm gonna say, first one came into my head because it really inspired me for writing this film. It's Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like how bizarre it is, and I really like the world of it. I think it's really cool. But that's me.
For me, Sing Street by Joan and Cary. It's like set in rural 80s Ireland, and it's like it's actually a kind of secretly a bit of a musical, a band musical. But yeah, it's just this beautiful like Boy Meets Girl, really nice common theme of like young people trying to escape their small towns.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a new member. This is our assistant director, Thais.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry.
Just to let you know, on
Join.
our screen, you're
Nice to see
completely.
you all. My favorite movie is
You're completely
Sorry?
frozen on our screen. I think it's the same for everyone on the call. Yeah. So I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
You can still hear us, right?
We can still hear you, but I'm just making you aware that you are frozen. So if you watch this back and we didn't tell you, that's
No
what
problem.
I'm making you aware. But we can hear
Cool.
you.
Yeah.
No, it's
We've
cool.
got the live stream up as well. Yeah.
So I was saying my favorite movie is definitely Roma by Quaron.
Yeah.
And it speaks to me especially because there is use of Mexican, Latin, and native language in the movie, in the first scenes between the intimate scenes of the main protagonist and her friend, and yes, and overall the relationship between domestic white inside of Mexico during the revolution.
Louis?
Fantastic.
Me, it's Pain and Glory by Pedro Almodovar. Because I really love the relationship there is between the mother and the son and this whole thing, and this whole film for me was a beautiful journey. So yeah, that's the film I would say.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna get your film loaded, but as I do so, would you like to tell everyone the inspiration behind it, please?
Okay, so hello everyone. Again, my name is Federico Balla. I wrote and directed A Peculiarly Bizarre Day for Josie, Joan, and the inspiration for we are all friends from drama school. We went to university together. We're all actors, and the inspiration behind this film is because I remember in first year, the very first year, I've immediately wanted to make something with my friends, essentially. And it took me 3 years to write this idea. And initially it was supposed to be like a 10-minute thing, like really short. But as I started writing, it just became bigger. And I brought it to my friends, being like, "Oh, are we gonna like it? It's a bit weird. I don't know if we're gonna like it." And then I loved the support I got, and so we all decided we're like, "Yeah, let's make it. And it's quite tough. It was the first movie ever to make, and it's like 49 minutes long. So that was an interesting challenge. But
Yeah. A huge challenge.
So yeah, exactly. So we're really happy with the result it got, and yeah, that's the inspiration behind it.
How's it been doing? Because it is that I don't want to say awkward time of touching 50 minutes. How have you found the festival circuit and receiving screenings and festival selections?
That's really interesting because it actually wasn't too easy because awkward short film and feature film. So actually many festivals didn't accept it because of the time limit.
Yeah.
And actually I'm really happy with that. You actually accepted our film because that's really cool. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame, but it's like it is what it is, I guess. That's how long it is. And I remember we tried to make it shorter,
Yeah.
but we just...
Everything on this journey has been completely unexpected for us. So the fact that we didn't set out to even make a feature or something resembling feature length is coming as a surprise to us. So everything else that came as a result in terms of what category we could and couldn't fit it into is all just bonus, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And just learning about the festival circuit in itself is a huge kind of learning curve, which if you are at film school or just embarked into this industry, you're going to learn so much about the politics behind it and rules and regulations. So I think it's really great that you've done this.
And I think it's also really great that you went ahead and said, no, we don't want to compromise on our vision and our quality. And we've made a 50-minute film, which in these days is an awkward time, but we're still going to go ahead of it. And I think there's a lot to say for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think there should absolutely be something for 45-minute films to go for that isn't shorts and like single feature length. But yeah.
So you said at the beginning you're all actors, and this is how you came together to make this film. Tell us a little bit more about how you decided on the casting and developing the story. Was it a lot of improvisation and then coming back to the script? What was your approach to this feature?
Okay. So, well, really, okay. I feel like I was very lucky because actually I was writing it initially. I remember the very first draft I wrote was I had really specific ideas who I wanted, but then I didn't really like how it worked out, stuff like that. So then when I brought it to the people, we actually shared our ideas because we know each other so well. I think 3 years together.
3 years at drama school is the best casting process you could give to any film.
Yeah,
exactly.
Basically.
Because we knew again, we just like going back and forth. It was like, oh, actually this person is perfect with this. And then we did it, and it was like, yeah, that person is perfect. I feel like every actor did a great job at doing their role. And it was as if they just embedded the script so well. And I think I really like the freedom we had with the words. And it's an awkward script, to be fair. Like the language is a bit weird. It's not really, doesn't belong to this planet, really. That's what I think. And so it was just, yeah. And so it was really nice to see my friend they're crazy. That's so cool. So yeah, how did you find it? Because these two actually were acting in it. So how did you find acting?
I can say from my point of view it was just very. I felt like emancipating someone else's work through a period of time that we've known each other, and I've seen this person growing with me, artistically speaking. So for me, it was actually taking care of his work and being like, yeah, I will just take it and we will go together. And that's, I think, it was just magical, the whole process. Like we squeezed everything in a month to do all the shooting. We took our Easter break off just to do that. I was a bit of a tyrant an AD saying we need to shoot this now because this is the only time we have. But it was a magical process to be both assistant director next to Federico and also the actor. I don't know about you, Louis.
Yeah. For me, it was. I actually just had more fun than anything with it, just because I was lucky to be given kind of this. And actually, you mentioned Lord of the Rings before, and it's this whole reference thing. But yeah, I just had fun with it, and I don't know. I don't think you think too much. You just do it, and then that's done. That's just the work. So yeah.
Yeah, it does sound like it was a lot of friends coming together to make a film, and it's had some success on the festival circuit. You've all dabbled in the film industry now, and have got amazing showreel material, and for the directors and the DOP, like getting a foot in the ground running, which is just fantastic to have. So really well done.
And I also think that this is a really good point to bring to the Liftoff Actors Hub, because part of what we're trying to do is encourage actors to go out and make films.
Yeah.
And to see that it's absolutely possible for a group of actors straight out of film school, straight out of drama school, to go and just make a film together and have it even do well and showcase yourselves and your talent, both as actors and filmmakers. I think there's so much to be learned from that.
So,
And,
yeah. So now that you've got your group, are you collaborating on anything in the future?
Yes, we are. So we're like actually us four plus there's other two people that unfortunately weren't able to come here. But there's 6 of us, and we created a production team. We're called Charlie Productions, and we're actually working on a new script written and will be directed by Thais. Yeah.
Yes, but once again, it's a matter of finding the right budgeting for it, and that's what we're trying to do right now, to both build a team because we want to take a step further, both in sound, in color grading.
Which we just to add context, we had less than £500 in budget, no experience, nothing. So we want to be able to, whatever our next step, be up from that and actually make something a little bit, a little bit next step.
And so we are. I'm trying to focus on a short movie just to make it dense and impactful in terms of quality, to not trying to spread in terms of time, so we can have 1 week and just do what we need to do very, very efficiently. But yes, that's our next project.
It goes back to what both Freddie and I were saying. Just the fact that you've done this is a huge achievement. So really well done. And the fact that you already know that you want to take it to that next step just means that when we talk again in 5 years' time, who knows what level you're going to be at. Like, it's going to be a very exciting journey ahead of you. And you just got to remember, this industry is so hard. So keep it fun and keep using your friends and collaborating and make it light, basically. So yeah. Cool. Very cool.
Very cool.
So good luck with everything. Anyone who is on this call, do you have any questions for their team? Go for it, Patti.
I do. Yes. Hello, lovely people.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Your film was so fun. I want to know, were the ping pong balls always a part of it, or did that just come? What was the inspiration for the ping pong balls? I loved it.
They froze on the ping pong balls. No.
So
Oh, good.
that's a really good question. So it's sort of the ping pong balls, right? So I was writing and I was like thinking like, okay, something must happen, something dangerous, something what's something like that's disgusting and like and then it just came into my head. So it was always part of a plan. And actually, I love how we've managed to find a way to shoot it, because actually when we read it the first time, we're like, how are we gonna do that? And then with the genius of editing and the magic of cinema, we managed to do it.
And like half our budget.
Yeah. Exactly. We bought like how many? 1,000? No.
What? 600.
600 people. 500.
Can I specify, because that's important, which we managed to recycle then after.
Yeah.
Keep the set green. Amazing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you. Milo, we're going to move over to you now. So Milo, I think we should start with the same question. Favorite film?
Oh, it's a naughty question, to
It's
be
a
honest.
horrible question.
And I've been thinking about it a little bit, and then, I still don't really have a good answer. But I could talk about childhood. I remember the first film which really affected me was 2001: A Space Odyssey. But I know it's cliche. Friday the 13th really affected me as a kid. The original Friday the 13th. And just that other one, Almodovar film that was mentioned. I forgot about that film, and I'm really happy to be reminded of it. So I need to check out all of those films again. Too many, can't answer.
Yeah, well, it is a horrible question, but that was a great answer. So let's start with your project. Let's take it back to the beginning. The inspiration behind this short film.
Honestly, it's based off true sort of events that I used to see and hear of when I was about 16. There used to be a lot of these people who used to live this sort of lifestyle, and it's there's a lot of stuff which isn't in the film, which is kind of the iceberg effect which built this film. Like a lot of stuff with free parties and underground parties. There used to be ones called OTT, which was called Over the Top. And they used to shut down warehouses, and you could have forest raves sometimes, and it was like a really cool sort of yeah, it was just a cool lifestyle for a bit, but it was a bit stressful, and yeah, there was a lot of drama basically. So yeah, that's why I thought it would be good for a film.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I was saying with the other films, they're all shot so well. And I think when we get a little bit further into the film, you'll see the cinematography develop from the opening section, and it's just a pleasure to watch. And I feel like it's set in 2012.
Yep, that was about 16, I think. So yeah, it has been brewing for a little bit.
I was just leaving uni at this time, and so I can connect quite well with what's going on in here. So.
Yeah, uni house. Well, yeah. It was. When I went to uni, I saw a few more of these houses as well. But yeah, thank you very much for complimenting the cinematography, because I did it with my friend Daniel Barrett, and we got some anamorphic sort of style lenses.
Nice.
And this is completely overcast, but you won't be able to tell. It sort of looks. We've put one light outside the window, well, just by the window, sort of, and another one below. And it's we're not experienced, so I think I'm very pleased that you've said that.
Yeah, I feel like you've captured this extremely well, and because it is a little bit gritty, like there are
some of it's not good. This shot I'm very happy with, but there's other bits where I'll definitely do it differently and I'll think about it differently. And yeah, it was meant to be gritty in some parts, but some parts, like the next scene, in my opinion, after this, it's like the lighting's a bit off and the grading's a bit off, in my opinion. But yeah.
So would you say that because you were doing a lot of it yourself, is this the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome? Or are there other moments that took place when you were filming this or in pre-production, post-production, that you were like, how are we going to get over this? And then managed to figure it out?
Honestly, like for example, this, like the whole thing is the yellow light and the skin tones. We didn't get that perfectly with the color grading, and that's probably something which actually the main problem would have solved, which was again budget, which is the problem really. And actually, I had a bit of money saved up, but I just used a bit of credit card really to pay off most of the film. And luckily I had a Black Magic, so I could use that.
Perfect.
But transport, location, and I wanted to pay the actors as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those were the biggest hurdles, and apart from that, all the crew worked for free. So big up to the crew. They did a lot of work, and I'm really appreciative for that.
And this is your first film?
Yeah, this is my first short film. I've done a few music videos before, but yeah, this is the sort of thing I want to be doing. Yeah. So
learning from all of the hurdles that you had to overcome is just a fantastic learning curve of what you're doing. So budget, if only there was more money in the world for filmmaking, wouldn't that just be amazing? There is obviously lots of different funding schemes to go down, but it's so incredibly hard to be a winner of one of those schemes. So I think if there's a story that you're super passionate about telling and it's going to help your career, just put it on a credit card. Don't hope to pay it off.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. I do want to continue telling stories, but I need to just save up a little bit more money now, because the other thing I didn't realize was how expensive the festival circuit is a little bit as well.
Yeah, I was going to say you probably got to the end of your film and maxed out the credit card and then realized, oh no.
I got some help from family at that part.
Yeah.
But it made me realize it's like just because, full disclosure, the other guys disclosed as well. It cost me about $1,000 to shoot, and then I spent about $1,000 on putting it to festivals.
Yeah, we tend to say to filmmakers, no matter what your shooting budget is, but please save about 30% for marketing, festivals, getting yourself to the festivals, all of that, because it all adds up so quickly.
If you don't have that, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to disappear, sort of. So you can put it on YouTube, but then festivals won't take it if it's been on YouTube. So
it's a tricky one. Some will, but the ones that you're probably aiming for won't.
Yeah.
So is leveling that up as well.
Yeah, the top ones, and like you're saying before, it was very interesting as my first film to learn more about the politics of this sort of this side of it, getting it out.
Film Freeway. Oh, they must be making so much money.
Why don't they fund the films?
Yeah, they should have a funding scheme, definitely.
But this is quite funny. So this chap here is playing the drug dealer, and originally the person we had cast for it at about 3 o'clock, when he was meant to get there at 5 o'clock, suddenly said, "Oh, I'm not even in London. I can't do it." You know, very typical for someone who's. And then we called up one of our childhood like mates for a mate, and he agreed to turn up. Like, so it was really, I thought he was absolutely perfect. He had the perfect intonation, voice, demeanor, costume, which he had to bring as well. Really, it was another happy accident which happened.
Yeah, it's often the way. We've had so many stories of when we do these kind of calls with filmmakers, actors didn't turn up, or something happened last minute and they couldn't make it, so you're left with everything on set and you just have to make it work. And I do think a lot of the time they are those happy accidents that people talk about. It happened to my partner, actually. He's a filmmaker as well. And it happened to him like a couple of days before, and they were shooting in France. So he just had to cast someone completely, and they were almost, or just off book for the shoot. So it happens a lot. But yeah. But yeah. So what is next? What are you working on now?
Well, truthfully, I want to try and do a few more music videos in the next month or two, and try and get some money from that. And then I've got to put more money into trying to make narrative shorts, I think. And this is part of a bigger idea, but if I was to do it again, I would like to reshoot it and really take it to the next level.
Yeah. I think you've got an incredible start, but if you do have a feature in mind, then the key is to have a very sleek proof of concept, but essentially use, if you have access to it, the cast that you would like to have in the feature. That would really help when it comes to the point of trying to sell it. So if that is something that is in the plans, then just keep that in mind for if you were to redo this.
I think it's as well. It's like when you do it, you know, you begin to realize how difficult these sort of things are. Like, to make something seamless is the most difficult thing, whether that's music or whatever. You want to make something which looks, there's nothing sticking out. It's all perfectly sleek, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's a really difficult thing. So I do want to practice a bit more before I get to that point. And I think just really honing in and trying to shine like the little ruby or the diamond, and trying to make, instead of focusing on this big canvas. So I did that at film school. I tried to make these really complicated things with so many locations.
Yeah.
I was lucky to have some archive footage from my personal bank in this as well, which made it seem like I had more locations, because I had a lot of stuff going on trains and at night clubs, and
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it looks incredible, and the fact that this is a project that is classed as your first short, really, really, really well done.
Yeah, I think that's a great start. Just continue just on that, I think. And I really like the idea of that you said that you might be thinking of redoing the film. I know I personally don't like revisiting old projects. I think you're on the right mindset of improving and going there and following up. And I hope to see you again next year, the year after.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say thank you for having me, and really enjoying being on a phone call with all these progressive filmmakers telling stories in subtle ways. That's the sort of thing I want to get into as well. So lovely to see you. And big up Patti, Patricia Matthews. I have to especially single her out because she did a lot of, the work that goes on behind the scenes. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Milo. And on our side, the credits are just about to roll, so that was perfect timing. So thank you. Anyone who is on the call, do you have any questions or remarks for Milo? No? Well, you summed yourself up perfectly. Thank you. There you go. And so well behaved.
I know.
Cool. So we're going to move on to our final project. Patti, that's over to you. Let's start with that famous question. What is your favourite film?
Well, I'm going to sneak and do two. It looks like I'm the OG on this call, so I'm going to go back to a couple classics, and it would be To Kill a Mockingbird and Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, nice. That's one of the Liftoff co-founders' favorite film. Actually, behind here we've got Blade Runner posters. So yeah. So there you go.
It has largely to do with Rutger Hauer. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. Yeah. So hello, everyone.
Hi. Take it away. Tell us the inspiration behind your feature.
Well, this is an entirely homegrown film. I have a production company that since 2006 have done all kinds of things where I've been telling stories my whole life. The natural progression was the next media was to make a film. So this is my first feature film. It is shot entirely on location with a local cast and crew in my hometown of Alameda, California. The cast is 95% my friends who are not actors at all. But hats off to them. I think they were incredible. I had a script I wrote in 2021 during the pandemic, and we shot it in the summer of 2022. In fact, the lead in the film is also named Patti, and she's been my best friend since kindergarten. And so we had a lot of fun. There's a cast of about 20 folks and a crew of 3.5 because our sound guy split sort of a third of the way through it, so which may be obvious, I don't know. So that was fun. It's really, I wanted to make a feel-good film that was funny and sad and sort of ran the whole emotional wheel because of the timing of course, as other people have mentioned, during the pandemic was so surreal and strange and all those things at once. So that was the inspiration. I have a lot of stories always spinning in my head. So this was one I thought I wanted to do first.
Amazing. And how fun. It goes back to working with your friends and just making the most out of the time that you have. Did you say 20 or 22 cast members?
There's about 20 cast members, yeah.
That must have been quite difficult with the scheduling.
Yes. Well, luckily, again, Patti, the lead actor, she is a teacher. She plays a retired teacher in the film, but so it was summer, so she was wide open. And we also had about 15 locations, which was, I figure if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get all my mistakes done right in the front load my mistakes. So we did it sort of the hard way, but it's okay. That's how you learn.
Yeah, so what would you say was your biggest learning curve?
Well, actually, the biggest learning curve was licensing some of the music. That was, I mean, that was an adventure and a job all in itself. Really eye-opening experience with having to work with the big three, music giants and trying to get noticed and trying to get someone to answer the emails, just literally to get the soundtrack we wanted. So that was probably the most trying part of making the film, since we were all friends and we were all pretty flexible about getting it done. So
I'm so glad you had that experience.
Yeah.
It sounds awful, but I'm so glad, because this industry is built on business to business, and to get a response is like pulling teeth a lot of the time. And if you're resilient enough to keep pushing until you get an answer, or can just push through and find, if you okay, I can't go through this avenue, let's try this one and try this one. When you go to sell a feature, maybe not this one, unless you do want to distribute this one, it's the whole process again. And it's one of the hardest things, because people get rejected a lot, so you give up.
Oh yeah.
But you can't. That's the difference. If you're aiming here and you keep pushing and you keep pushing, maybe you'll get really close to it. And sometimes that is what you just got to keep doing. So yeah, business to business. Don't forget that.
We did one of the cardinal mistakes we made was having our mind set on a very particular song. And it was in the denouement of the film, so it was really important. We felt like, you know, a lot of the content depended on getting this one song, which is a mistake. So it was hard enough even to get someone to answer, well, how much will it cost? I just was trying to find out, can you please tell me, you know, at least that? Can we start with that? And when the answer finally came back, it was $10,000.
Yikes.
That was, that was another real shock to the system. But so we worked around it, and you know, you never kind of get that if you get your mindset on one song, you can never unhear it when the scene comes on. But I think we found a good plan B.
That's great to hear that you found that, because I was just working on a film last year, and it just ran into the same issue. I just found out a few weeks ago that or last week I think, that they'd finally got the rights to the song and because it's a huge nightmare, and it's really tricky, and it was a song that was really important to the film. They couldn't have taken a different song. So it's interesting to hear now from you that you have the same issues. And I think if someone wants a good business idea, solving that problem for filmmakers.
Well, it's sort of sad for the artists, because no one's really out there helping them get their music out there. They may want it. In fact, we did have a local band who wanted the song in the film, but their label wouldn't let them. So it's kind of a mess out there.
Yeah, sometimes you can go around that and go direct to the artist, which I'm sure you did. But if they had
we tried, they were
sometimes
under some contractual restriction anyway. So anyway,
sometimes it works, and they can just be like, waiver this, and they'll have it. So never be afraid to ask, basically.
Yeah. So we did blow our wad, so to speak, on one hit song, and we were pretty glad we got that in there. So our whole budget was only $40,000. So to spend $10,000 on one song was not going to happen. Anyway.
But what would you say was the highlight?
Oh, well, finishing.
Yeah.
Getting it done. But aside from that, we had a fun adventure. I'll try to share with you quickly. So James mentioned having a bar as one of the locations. Because we're in our hometown, we were lucky to get a lot of that kind of stuff for free. So a friend of a friend owns a bar. So we were to shoot first thing on Sunday morning to avoid, of course, having a huge crowd at the bar. Little did we know, or little did the owner know, there was a huge international sporting event of some kind. So we were there at like 7 a.m. on a Sunday, but the bar was crowded already. And the folks had been having a good time already. So we went into the scene with one of the largest number of cast. I think there was eight cast members in this particular scene, and it had a lot of important information in the scene. Anyway, it was intense. So we had a prop sitting at the bar. Unzi, the alien. And we get organized. We're all, quiet. The people are being really cooperative. It was great. So unbeknownst to us, a woman who had been in the ladies' room or something comes in. She has no clue what's going on. She sees Unzi at the bar and starts screaming and running up and down into the shot, running around the bar, screaming hysterically. And so all hell breaks loose. And I'm running from behind the bar and trying to calm her down. And I said, please, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean to upset you. I said, come see him. He's paper mache. He's not. And she was, no, I can't have it. So anyway, I finally said to her, were you abducted? And she said, and so we hugged her and we told her it's going to be okay. It was just one of those things that, of course, you could have never imagined. But a 2-hour shoot took about 4 after that interruption. So, but we got it done. Anyway, that's just a little fun.
So you said at the beginning that this was your first feature that you wanted to do, but there are several other ideas that you want to explore. What's next for you?
Well, we're in development for shooting a film, another sort of mystery thriller in Ireland. So that's going to be.
You're gonna come from this side of the world.
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, I used to live in London. I have connections all over that place. So yeah, that's we're working on the treatment at the moment, and then we'll try to get money to keep going.
Amazing. Sounds like you've got a full-on adventure ahead of you. But if you manage to do that, that's going to be such a dream. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great. No, I think it was a really great. Oh, yeah. One thing I'd like to point out: congratulations on making a feature film. I think making a feature film on such a small budget and with just your friends is the embodiment of what filmmaking is supposed to be about. It's supposed to have a good time and have a fun time and tell a story on the way.
Absolutely.
And I think that's way more important than winning big prizes. Is knowing you just had a good time with people you love spending time with.
Right. We did the film did premiere at the Culver City Film Festival, which we like to say is Hollywood adjacent. So that was great. So that was fun.
All the better that it did actually then take off.
And everyone can go to it. Oh, did everyone go to it that was involved?
No, it was a Wednesday afternoon. Everyone was, but still not complaining. No. Yeah.
Well
we
done.
were there. There were 4 of us there. That's plenty.
Fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, is there any final thoughts from anyone for Patti?
Well, a quick question. Hi, Patti.
Hi.
Hi. So, how long did it take you to shoot the film? Exactly.
Well,
like,
again,
how long did, in terms of length? Yeah.
You mean just for the shooting? We did it over the summer of 2022 because, again, Patti, the lead actor, she is a teacher, so she had to go back to work. So that was our time frame. So it was about 2.5 months.
Okay. Yeah, nice. Thank you. Any other thoughts? No? Well, thank you, all of you, for joining, and thank you for our audience who have been watching. There's been a few comments coming in, which we'll take a look at in a moment, but stay on the call. We're just going to end here, and then we'll wrap up properly. So thank you so much for joining. All right.